Chapter 3 of With the Turks in Palestine by Aaron Aaronsohn. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Setu. The German Propaganda. So passed the days of our training, swiftly, monotonously, until the fateful December morning when the news came like a thunderbolt that Turkey was about to join hands with Germany. We had had reports of the war of a kind. Copies of telegrams from Constantinople printed in Arabic were circulated among us, giving accounts of endless German victories. These, however, we had laughed at as fabrications of a Prussophile press agency, and in our skepticism we had failed to give the Teutons credit for the successes they had actually won. To us, born and bred in the East as we were, the success of German propaganda in the Turkish Empire could not come as an overwhelming surprise, but its fullness amazed us. It may be of timely interest to say a few words here regarding this propaganda, as I've seen it in Palestine spreading under strong and efficient organization for 20 years. In order to realize her imperialistic dreams, Germany absolutely needed Palestine. It was the key to the whole Oriental situation. No mere coincidence brought the Kaiser to Damascus in November 1898, the same month that Kitchener in London was hailed as Gordon's avenger, when he uttered his famous phrase at the tomb of Saladin, "Tell the 300 million Muslims of the world that I am their friend." We have all seen photographs of the imperial figure draped in an amazing burnous of his own designing, above which the Prussian Pickelhaube rises supreme. As we move from point to point in this portentous visit, we may also have seen Karen Dark's celebrated cartoon, a subject of diplomatic correspondence, representing this same imperial figure in its oriental toggery riding into Jerusalem on an ass. The nations of Europe laughed at this visit and its transparent purpose, but it was all part of the scheme which won for the Germans the concessions for the Konya-Baghdad railway, and made them owners of the double valley of Euphrates and Tigris. Through branch lines projected through the Firman, they are practically in control of both the Syrian routes towards the Cypriotic Mediterranean and the Lebanon valleys. They also control the three Armenian routes of Cappadocia, the Black Sea, and the Transcaucasian branch of Urfa, Marak, and Mardin. The fall of Erzurum has altered conditions respecting this last. They dominate the Persian routes towards Tauris and Tehran as well, and last but not least, the Gulf branch of Zobair. These railways delivered into German hands the control of Persia, whence the road to India may be made easy. Through Syria lies the road to the Suez Canal in Egypt, which was used in February 1915 and will probably be used again this year. To make this Oriental dream a reality, the Germans have not relied on their railway concessions alone. Their government has done everything in its power to encourage German colonization in Palestine. Scattered all over the country are German mills that half of the time have nothing to grind. German hotels have been opened in places seldom frequented by tourists. German engineers appeared in force, surveying, sounding, noting. All these colonists held gatherings in Arab villages when the ignorant natives were told of the greatness of Germany, of her good intentions, and of the evil machinations of other powers. What I state here can be corroborated by anyone who knows Palestine and has lived in it. About the time when we first knew that Turkey would join the Germanic powers came the news that capitulations have been revoked. As is generally known, foreigners formerly enjoyed the protection of their respective consuls. The Turkish government, under the terms of the so-called capitulations or agreements, had no jurisdiction over an American, for instance, or a Frenchman, who could not be arrested without the consent of his consul. In the Ottoman Empire, where law and justice are not at a premium, such protection was a wholesome and necessary policy. The revoking of the capitulations was a terrible blow to all the Europeans, meaning as it did the practical abolition of all their rights. Upon the Arabs it acted like an intoxicant. Every bootblack or boatman felt that he was the equal of the accursed Frank, who now had no consul to protect him, and abuses began immediately. Moreover, as if by magic, the whole country became Germanized. In all the mosques, Friday prayers were ended with an invocation for the welfare of the Sultan and Haji Wilhelm. The significance of this lies in the fact that the title Haji can be properly applied only to a Muslim who has made the pilgrimage to Mecca and kissed the sacred stone of the Kaaba. Instant death is the penalty paid by any Christian who is found within the enclosure. Yet Wilhelm, too, head of the Lutheran faith, stepped forward as Haji Wilhelm. His pictures were sold everywhere. German officers appeared, and it seemed as if a wind of brutal mastery were blowing. The dominant figure of this movement in Palestine was without doubt the German consul at Haifa, Leutwald von Herdegg. He traveled about the country making speeches and distributing pamphlets in Arabic, in which it was elaborately proved that Germans are not Christians, like the French or English, but they are descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. Passages from the Quran were quoted, prophesying the coming of the Caesar as the savior of Islam. End of chapter 3. Recording by Setu.